Hey, everybody, it's your lovely Lotus Blossom Lizzie here today with another art journaling page. Because, I've been feeling really mixed media lately. So today, again, I'm doing another page and I'm doing it in my homemade magazine art journal. And if these are the type of videos that you like, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification button so that you'll be notified when more videos like this one come out. And also, I would love to hear your comments down below. Comments also help this channel out a lot, just as does the thumbs up. And so I want to hear your comments on this particular spread. Now, my intention was just to go in and do a background spread because I always struggle with kind of figuring out what the focal point is going to be. So today, I just said, I'm just going to let my creativeness kind of flow on this because I really wasn't sure what I was going to do as far as a focal point. So the first thing I did, as you saw, is I went in and I glued some pages together because I want to make sure that the pages have enough girth. Sometimes the magazine pages are a little bit flimsy, although this book is pretty good. And so what I wanted to do also was kind of give it some strength. So I tore some book pages that I had here and I used my We Are Memory Keepers tear guide. I used one of them for this and I just went through and I tore some kind of uniform pieces. Normally I just kind of rip them up, but this time I said, you know what? I want this background to kind of show through. So I'm going to kind of just rip things up in a kind of crazy kind of manner. I got wild and crazy with it. So I also put washi tape on the side. And something that I didn't think about when I started doing this, putting the washi tape on the side, that is it helps to hold the two pages together as well as make things pretty on the edges. And so I decided that I'll probably be using washi tape on the edges of most of the pages from now on. So I am using some Mod Podge. I just took some of the Mod Podge out of its regular bottle and I put it in this old mail container that I had. I always have like empty containers around, so this is a fantastic use. And one reason why I liked using it this way is because I can see what's inside of it instead of trying to dip my brush in and trying to look through the top of the Mod Podge and figure out what it is. This way I can just dip it in and I can look through the edges and I can see exactly what I'm doing. So that worked out really well. So again, I'm just taking my brush, dipping it in some Mod Podge. Usually I would use like maybe some gesso or matte medium, but I have lots of Mod Podge. So I decided to use the Mod Podge this time. And I just glued every little piece down. I painstakingly put it down, but it wasn't really a pain for me. I like doing this kind of stuff. And sometimes the mindlessness of doing the mixed media is what is most helpful for you. It's a great stress relief. So I forgot to put the washi tape on the other side, so I just took out some washi tape, and it's like some Easter washi tape, and that wasn't my intention wasn't Easter. I just like the colors, and so I thought that they would match the colors that I intended to use on this page. So I went ahead and I put that down. Because after I get done, with the painting and the gluing and all this stuff, it almost doesn't matter what kind of washi you put on the edge, except for when you're looking at it from the side. So next I took out these stamps that I found in my stash. And yep, I know it's hard to say you found something in your own house because it's not really lost, but I forgot that I had these, and I got these stamps like at a Goodwill. Sometimes you can find some nice hidden treasures at Goodwill, and I found these stamps, and I don't know if I think they're Japanese, but I'm not sure if they're Japanese or they're Chinese, but they do have the actual translation on the stamp. But as I was stamping it, you couldn't really see what the translations were for these, which is okay, because I just think that those symbols are just beautiful and they stand alone. But of course, you don't want to put any symbols up there because you might not know what it is. It might say something bad, but these said something good. I believe it was like faith and hope and happiness and love. So those were the ones that I used. And I also took out this floral stamp as well, which I didn't even know I had. And it was actually in the bag with these as well. So I said, I'm going to try to use these. They don't really correlate with each other, but I thought it would make like a fantastic background. So just so you know, the first layer I put on was the Mod Podge, and then I put the pages down, and I didn't put anything on top of those pages. And so the next thing I did was I did the stamping, and now I'm using some acrylic paints, and I'm just using some cheapo depot acrylic paints. And you know, I might graduate to some better paints after these are gone, but right now this is what I have. And so I wanted them to go on kind of in a wash kind of way. So I just put just a little dab of color on my little palette, and I put lots of water in there so that it would be a wash and you could really see through it. And I really enjoy the effect that it actually did. I love the way that the colors came out, and I love the colors that I chose. I wanted to be kind of a brighter palette, because sometimes, even though I want a brighter palette, sometimes things still come out kind of dark. So I think with the wash, it kind of helped things to be a bit bright and kind of springy. Kind of have those springy colors. Now what you're seeing here is the top color I put on. I put like so much water in it, it actually had like a dripping effect. So this was kind of a happy mistake for me, because this wasn't my intention to do. And often when you're doing this mixed media art, you're going to have lots and lots and tons of happy mistakes. So that's really nice, because I love the way the dripping kind of came through on the page. And of course, once it dries, it still dries a little bit light. So now I'm just taking out some modeling paste, because I want to give the page some texture. Why not? And for some reason, my modeling paste seems like it's drying up. I don't know if it's the climate here, but a lot of my art supplies seem to be going downhill for some reason. So I want to start using as much stuff as I can. So don't wait until your art supplies are going downhill before you start using them. Take it from me. You know, some of these things are not inexpensive, so I don't want to say cheap, because cheap is such a harsh word. I'm going to say inexpensive, and so you want to use what you have. And I wanted that modeling paste to kind of give this page a rustic look, and it did just that. So then I decided I'm going to do some stenciling, and I was going to use these circles, but I really didn't want to put a heavier color on top of the beautiful pastels that I had going here. So I kind of ditched that idea of using the circle stencils, and I just kind of just mopped up the rest of the paint that I had and kind of dabbed it around the page, and that worked out really well. So then the next thing that I did was I took out some of my dilutions paint, and my intention was to make some little flowers. So I had a little flower stencil, and they came out a little bit, not muddy, but a little blobby, but it still was okay. I still enjoyed the fact that the little flowers added, and it, you know, it kind of fit in with the background. So you can see things are starting to get kind of busy, and that's the way it is when you just use so many different types of things on your page. So, you know, we got glue on here, we have book pages on here, we have stamps and stencils, and of course, you know me, I'm not done. I'm just gonna keep rolling with it. So now I'm just kind of mixing this with some white, mixing some of the Dilutions pink, I think that's bubblegum pink, by the way, with some of my Craft Smart acrylic white paint, and I'm going to use some of this bubble wrap, and it comes out again in a little bit of a blobby way, but I did get some defined circles on here as well. But I kind of like that blobby look. I do, and I almost kind of went too far with it. I just wanted to just keep putting it down, because that pink really stood out with the black and the other pastel colors. So I really enjoy doing that. So the next thing I'm doing, because I didn't feel like it was enough on this page, I decided to use some washi tape. And if you've been watching me, you've heard me say it over and over again. I have like 1,000,001 quadzillion washi tapes. So I'm trying to use my washi tapes. So I decided to use these floral tapes, which I don't have enough of. But, girls, you can't hoard your stash, or of course it'll go bad. Washi tapes will go bad as well. So I put on a few washi tapes, and at this point I'm really loving this. I'm really enjoying the look of this background. And again, my intention was to make the background and kind of just stop there, but things started kicking in, and that's usually how my creative process works. Things just start kicking in as I go along. So I was pretty happy with my thought process. Now I'm trying to do a little bit of splattering of white, but I think I kind of diluted this just a bit too much. And so I was getting like lots of big globs of white paint, but they weren't so thick that you could even see them. So it was really hard to see like the splattering of the white. So I decided to just keep it moving. No big deal, because that's how we roll. There's no mistakes in mixed media. So I decided to use a little of my Heidi Swap Gold Shine on here. And I think the sprayer is clogged. I didn't even check it because I didn't want it to be like just a whole splattering of gold. I just wanted some gold here and there. So it's kind of hard to see on here. But once I get done with this, I'll give you like a really close-up shot. So don't worry. You'll really get to see how stunning this page is going to become. Now, I'm using some of the Dilutions paint again because, of course, now my mind is going to where I'm going to put down a focal point. And I wanted a spot to write on, but this page is like so busy. I just didn't know how to do it without giving it like its own kind of little frame. And as soon as I started putting the paint down, I was thinking, I've made a mistake, folks. I've made a mistake. And I just kept on going because I was thinking, you know what, there's no mistakes. I could paint over it if I wanted to. Of course, I would have lost that beautiful background, but what the heck? Let's just keep on going and see where this takes us. So then I took out some of my black Dilutions paint, and my black Dilutions paint is almost completely dried up, and I have not been using it. I don't know what's going on with that formula on the black, but I bought all my Dilutions paints at the same time. You saw how the pink looked, you see how that white looked, and the black is just a glob, and I don't know what's going on with it. So I hope they fix that formula. And unfortunately here in my area I haven't been able to get any more black, so I may have to order it online. I know, y'all probably didn't even want to know all that. But I'm just warning you about the black anyway. So then I was putting this down and I was just thinking, I think I just made like a muddled mess. But I just continued on. And the good thing about the Dilutions paint is that they kind of mix together. And so I kind of like the illusion or the feel of it. It kind of looks like a bit of a cloud there. It actually didn't come out bad to me at all, but I wish I would have kind of brought it over on the left hand side page as well. So I just put some flowers over there to kind of bring things together, and I like the look. So I decided to put Finding Beauty Between the Lines because it's all about the background, the text that's on here, and kind of just finding the beauty within the text and the things that you read and the things that you see. So that's how I made this quote. I'm sure maybe somebody else said it before too, but I kind of just thought of this on a whim, and so that became my focal point. And at this point, I was really liking the page, even with that big glob over here that I just made. And I thought I destroyed the page, but it didn't work out that way. It worked out really well. So then I decided to go ahead and give the flowers an outline, which again, my intention was to do like the simple background, and I had no intention on doing the outlines. But I am just getting braver and braver with my decisions when it comes to what I'm using on the page. So I just went with it. I decided to kind of give those flowers a mandala style and just go for it. I've seen other mixed media artists do this as well, and I really enjoyed it. So I added some dots and I added some lines, and I didn't kind of overthink things. I just did it. And I'm using a white Posca pen, and this pen is new to me because I never had one before. And when I was at the craft store just lately, I finally found one, and I said, I'm going to finally get one of these pens and see how it works out for me. And I really love it. It goes on better than anything else that I have, and I made sure I bought a size. I think it's the bullet size that I have here that would really kind of stand out. And as you can see, it really does. And so I really like the way it flows on the paper, because there's a lot of things going on that you can't see, and so there's some rough spots, but this pen goes over it really, really nicely. So I just continue on putting the designs on the flowers, and as I was going through it, I was thinking, you know what, it still feels like the page is just a spot unfinished still. And I really couldn't kind of put my finger on it, but it really had to do with the flowers for me. I was like thinking, those flowers still need something else. And what I decided is that, in the middle where the seed pods are, I think that's what was doing it for me. It was kind of like an empty, hollow space. And even though they had some gold dots in there, I just felt like it wasn't enough. So I took out my gold pen, and this is a Craft Smart pen as well, and it works pretty good too. It has really good paint coverage, so I like it. And so I just decided to go in on the flowers on where the seed pods are. And of course, I love that look, but I still felt like it didn't look like a true artist flower. So I got out my black Sharpie and I gave it some seeds, and I was like, now that's doing it for me. I really enjoyed how that looked. So everything is kind of coming together. And of course, I always I don't know what it is, but I like, putting an outline around the page. But before I did that, I wanted to kind of give the flowers still a little bit more depth, because, I'm really feeling like I'm an artist these days. So I kind of wanted to highlight the seed pod a little bit. I took a little bit of black acrylic paint and I used a lot of water, because again, it's kind of all about the washes in this particular layout. So I went ahead and I washed things down, and then I decided to also just kind of cut a little bit of the excess off, the excess paper that was left. And I did leave a little bit on because I thought it wasn't a deal breaker for me. I liked the look of it, so I left it the way it was. So I took the brush and I started to put the black on it, and it was just a little bit too thick. It didn't come out washy like I wanted it to. And so I decided to use my fingers, and I'm not a fan of using my fingers, but I use my fingers a lot in this one. And I think it showed because it just things felt more organic, and I love that organic feel of the way the page was. As you can see, it's not too much black on the edges, but definitely you can see the difference between the two pages. It just adds some depth when you kind of put like a frame around your work. So that's what I did, and I really, really love that look. I almost felt like I could have put a little bit more black on the page in different spots, but I decided let's just leave it like it is. And I don't want to mess anything up, and I really love the way this page turned out. So this is the whole page, finding beauty between the lines. And again, originally it was just going to be a background, but now it's like a full spread, and I love it. Let me know if you love it too down in the comments. So with that, I'm going to say love, peace, and hair grease. From your sweet lotus blossom and lovable Lizzie, have a fantabulous day and enjoy life.